الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Firstly, Jazakallah khair to everyone for attending. The weather's quite hot, okay? There's naturally always more females than men, okay? Which is the same pattern in the UK. I'm just going to give a few single points before we start. Number one is the predominant presentation will be done in English, okay? Key points I will try to translate with my very, very weak Arabic, okay? And then I will rely on specific brothers if there's specific vocab which may need translation, okay? If at any point anyone finds me speaking too fast, anyone finds me using vocab which is going over the head, okay? Just raise your hand and just ask me to repeat the point, okay? Thirdly, if during the presentation, if there's any questions, I have no issue with engagement, okay? So if you wish to question something, midway through a point, feel free to ask, okay? And, no, but sisters at the back, can you just raise your hand if you can hear my voice clearly? Okay, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to start, I'm going to go through a basic overview of what we're going to cover today. And then after we've done the basic overview, we will then start going into each topic. Some topics will go into a bit more depth, and some topics will be at just a surface level, okay? The basic format is going to be an hour and 30 minutes, and then after that hour and 30 minutes, we will then have 30 minutes of an open Q&A, which means any questions you may have. And let me be very clear, okay, in my capacity, I'll do the best I can, but there will be questions which you may need to refer to another source, okay? So if there's anything which I come across which I'm not sure about, I'll state that very clearly, and we can move forward from there, inshallah, okay? So just very quickly, I'm going to go through just a very quick overview of what we're going to go through today. Number one, a lot of people, when you naturally start off giving da'wah in any form, whether it's at school, whether it's at college, whether it's at university, right the way to the workplace, right the way to, obviously, Egypt, you have touristic sites. A lot of people have many inhibitions, okay? So we're going to address some of them inhibitions and how to overcome them to really increase your chances of success with the da'wah. Number two is going to be how to present Islam. So we're going to go through a discussion from start to finish of how do we build the concept of Islam. Number three is going to be, once you've had that entire conversation, how do you really end the conversation? Okay, what's the end goal? How do I get contact details? How do I move on? Okay. There was something that was mentioned about prejudgments about Islam from the media. So, a lot of us, whether we're living in Egypt, whether we live in the UK, all of us are affected by the media naturally, okay? So, we're going to discuss how to really overcome some of these factors. And then the final point will be how to prepare a non-Muslim when they embrace Islam, okay? So starting with point number one, we're going to go through something just at a superficial level, okay? How should your body language be? If I was to give the presentation like this, what would your perception be? If I was to give the presentation like this, what would your perception be? If I was to give the presentation like this, what would your perception be? All of us are naturally affected by body language, okay? So people come across with obviously confident body language, body's open, even your feet are shoulder width apart, okay? And you feel like you're welcome to new conversation. On the contrary, you can find people that are generally quite closed, okay? And it's not always a factor of confidence. My wife herself is very introvert, okay? But that isn't a necessary factor of confidence, but it can make a person a bit more hesitant to want to approach you for conversation, okay? So these are just a few little factors to think about, okay? Firstly, when you're standing at a stall, okay? It could be at university, it could be on the street, it could be at one of the sites like the Iera or at the Afromat, okay? So just be conscious of basic things, okay? One is not turning palms inwards. Number two is arms always being open. So whether you've got leaflets in your hands, okay, whether you're looking to strike a conversation, just try to make sure that your body is open. And number three is always just keep your chin a little bit raised, okay? Now many people may think, it's asking a bit much there, okay? But a lot of businesses, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in Egypt, or Western corporations, full stop, okay, spend millions and millions of pounds in a sector called sales and marketing, okay? With the onset of technology, okay, and the onset of data, and I don't know if anyone's read about Cambridge Analytica and the big problems with it in the UK, but companies are very conscious of what impression they're giving to consumers. And when you're on a dawah stall or you're discussing with people, it's very, very similar, okay? So just something I want people to be a bit conscious of before we move on to the next stage, inshallah. Number two, do's and don'ts, okay? Now, of course, some factors of a dawah stall, speaking to a person, you're always not going to have a clear step-by-step guide on how to behave. Certain elements are simply human, but certain elements are behaviours that we can get used to, which are not always conducive to dawah. Okay? So I'm just going to give a few examples. I'm going to start with the do not first. Okay? So it was something obviously I said. I spent just a day or two at one of the stalls just to get a feel of how people respond, how people give dawah, what do they depend upon, what types of conversations do they have. So these are just a few of the things which I feel that are generally quite important to consider when you're involved in anything of this nature. Okay? So number one is the leaflet. Okay? The magical leaflet or the magical book. That is not your goal. Okay? If we were just to simply compete on handing out leaflets or books, okay, it becomes problematic. Why? Because a person can attend a dawah stall, a person can attend a specific activity, and assume that simply handing out a leaflet or a book itself is a goal. Just to be clear, that is not the goal. Okay? Even if it is a translation of the Quran. If a person has discussed with you, you've had interaction, they seem interested, then of course the book, the Quran, the Seerah, leaflets are very useful. Okay? If someone's only with you for a minute or two, it can again be quite useful. Why? Because you can just leave them with something to think about. Okay? But the goal of your conversation is to trigger thinking. Okay? It's not to hand out a leaflet. And it's not just a problem obviously within Egypt, it's anywhere you see dawah, pretty much internationally, and I've experienced it in a few countries. People, generally because of little inhibitions, okay, just focus on handing over the leaflet and not actually on the conversation or triggering thoughts. Number two, just a few other points, okay? Do not slouch, okay? So one big problem, obviously weather's quite hot, you can get quite tired, okay? A bit of laziness comes in. But even if you're going to take a seat or you start in a specific area, there's no need to sit back, okay, and slouch. Does everyone know what slouch means, yeah? Yes? No? Okay, slouch is, this is the human way of sitting, this is the slouch way of sitting, okay? So, some of these things are just simply about the impression, okay? If you go to any established company, shop, work premises, internationally, no company will allow for their workers to present themselves in that way, okay? And Muslims should have a moral code and a presentation way above that, okay? So Muslims should have a moral code and a way of holding themselves which is much better. Okay? So you want to ensure that people don't build negative mindsets even before the conversation. Okay? Number 3. Do not have introvert body language, which we've already mentioned to some degree. Okay? Holding your body completely in, not making too much of a focus on lowering your head, closing in your body, because these factors naturally can put people off basic conversation. Okay? Now, I've seen on one occasion in Egypt, okay, I'm not going to say where it was, but I was at Dawasol, I was literally practicing with my wife and mother-in-law, and I heard someone having a very loud, angry conversation with a person that was passing by, okay? Whether you are angry, whether you're aggravated, whether you get agitated at any point, do not allow your frustration to show. Is that clear? Yes? At any point, that is an absolute no-go zone. Okay? Some people may even come to a dawah stall. In Egypt, it's not too bad. In the UK, people will come to the dawah stall to annoy you. Yeah? To ask questions which are going to purposely get you angry. Okay? So do not allow yourself to fall into that trap. Okay? So that's just a point on controlling emotions, no matter where the conversation goes. Don't dress too casual, okay, be a bit conscious, okay, maybe don't wear white pants like I'm wearing today, but don't wear pyjama bottoms, Adidas tracksuits, try to wear just basic, smart chinos, jeans, etc. These things again have an impression that it leaves with the person, okay? Don't make too many assumptions. In the UK, subhanAllah, we have a range of different people that will come to dawah stalls. You might find a person, and subhanAllah, I think some people might see the pictures online, tattoos from head to toe, okay? You know, where they have ashkal bihadr, yeah, from head to toe. It would be the last person you would think that would be effective in accepting your dawah, but sometimes it can be the most sincere, okay? So don't make assumptions that the person who is coming is either going to accept or reject, okay? Final points, I'm not going to go through too much. Obviously understand that change is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are simply there to present the argument, the conversation, to assist the person, and the rest we make dua for.